Hello guys, Craig from fixitfallows, and I am lucky enough to be sat in this absolutely exquisite Audi TT. It's a Mark III, a 2018. Let me just show you the interior. I mean, it's an absolute thing of beauty. Yeah, I'm a very, very lucky boy. So anyway, what am I doing in the car today? Well, today I want to upgrade the firmware that runs the infotainment system. I want to try and activate Apple Carplay / Android Auto, and also put in the latest version of Maps into the navigation system. So let's get on with it. Right, okay, so before we can update any of the firmware or other stuff in this car, we need to know what current firmware it's running. And in order to do that, we need to bring up sort of an engineer's menu in this display here. They refer to it as the red engineering menu. And to do that, we have to press a certain combination of keys on the center console here. Okay, so that process is this top left button here and this right button here. Using your index finger and thumb, we're going to be pushing this top left one forward, quickly followed by this one back, and then hold both of them in position. And what I'll do is I'll try and get it in frame so you can see my hand doing that and the menu on the screen changing. So left forward, right back, and hold it in that position for however long it takes for the menu to come up. And there you go, you see the menu has now come up. Okay, so we have details there that say update, system, settings and version. Now what we want to do is scroll down to the version information. So using our center console wheel there, we're going to scroll down. Let's get that back in focus. We're going to scroll down and then press this down like you would do any other selection. Press that down and there we go. We get current version. Now the important thing to note there is the MHI2. MHI2 is the infotainment system that is run in Audi TTs. The next bit, ER, that refers to this car being a European, rest of the world car. You can also get US cars. An AU43X, that refers to Audi TTs. If you was in an A5 or an A6 or an A8, etc., you'd have a different number there. And then we've got P4204, that's the current firmware version that this car's running, and then the 1169. So you need to take a note of whatever string of details you have there. That's referred to as train number or something to that effect, but you need that number. We will be going away and referring to a website to see what the latest version is available for your car. So anyway, to come out of there, we just come down there and press back. Okay, and you see it goes back. Okay, now we're not going to be doing anything else in this menu now. So to quit out of that menu, it's back to the center console with that top left and top right button. And like you did to access it, we're going to be pushing forward the top left and pulling back the top right in order to exit this menu. So we'll do that and we hold until that quits out back to your normal screen. There we go, back into our normal screen. Okay, so what we just done in the red engineering menu shows us the firmware that runs the infotainment system in the car. Now we need to know what software and hardware version your VC, your Virtual Cockpit, is. Now to do that, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pressing the start button, but then immediately we're going to be pressing the little 00 trip computer there 5 times, but holding the 5th press down, and that will generate a menu to come up in there. But it's very important that you do the press the button and then you press the trip computer soon afterwards. If there's too big a delay, pressing that button won't have any effect. So let's press the ignition button and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, long press, and there we go, this menu popped up. Now what we're looking for is the HW, that's hardware, and in this car it's H42, so make a note of yours. And then software, SW, I got 0325. Now I know, having referred to online resources, that firmware 42 and software 325 is all good to go for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's because the Virtual Cockpit has to have the capability of running the Audi smartphone interface. My understanding that is all software from 0296 onwards is capable of running the Audi smart interface. So if you have an earlier version, I would refer you to ttforum.co.uk for details of whether you can update your earlier version. Anyway, to exit out of this menu, you simply have to press the back button there. So I shall press that and you can see that we go back to our standard menu. Right, okay, if you want to know what version of maps you have installed in your navigation system, if you get yourself to this menu on the screen, i.e. the menu button, scroll down to settings. Okay, click on settings, and then we're going to go into this left menu here. Now to do that, you press that button there. So go left, and we go into the MMI settings, and we want to go down to system maintenance. Click on that, and we go down to version information. Camera, there we go. Navigation database, ECCE, so that's Europe, 2017-2018. This is the maps that come with this car from the factory. So I want to update that to the 24-25 version. Right, now that we've got that information from the car, we can now go onto our PC or laptop indoors, and we can get details of the latest software that's available for our vehicle. Right, okay, so here we are indoors, we're at our laptop. Now it does have to be a Windows-based laptop, not an Apple Mac. It won't work on Apple Mac, it has to be a Windows-based PC. So what we want to do is, one, we want to obtain the latest firmware for updating the car's infotainment system. Two, we want to obtain the M.I.B software, the most incredible bash software. That's for basically side loading the relevant FEC codes or basically authorization codes for Apple CarPlay, etc. Thirdly, we want to download the latest version of maps for the navigation system. Okay, and we may also have a look at being able to clear any error codes using OBD11 and VCDS. Okay, now in order to download these relevant bits of software, firmware, and save them, we need an SD card. The car does need this size SD card, okay? So whether you buy this size SD card or you buy micro ones like I have and put them in the adapter, either way, but this is the size of SD card that goes in the M.I.B unit in the car. Okay, as you see here, I bought a set of 3. I got these off Amazon. These cost me £15. Now each card is 32 gigabytes. Now you don't need 32 gigabytes. The biggest file we're going to be downloading is the maps, and I think that's approximately 20 gigabytes. But if you're buying them, you might as well buy some decent cards, okay? You're best off putting each of these bits of software that we're going to be downloading on an individual card, okay? So I'm going to have one for the latest firmware, one for the most incredible bash software, and another one for the maps. If you were to download all those bits of software onto one card, the filing system in the car cannot basically scroll through libraries or directories. It will only go for file that is like recorded on the highest level of the card. So it's recommended you put each bit of your necessary software on an individual card. Okay, let's get on with it. Right, so in order to find out and obtain the latest software for your car, we need to go to a website called M.I.B-helper.com, mibhelper.com. And then once we're there, we just scroll down and it says enter SW train. So in here, we are going to be typing in the code that we took from the car, as you can see here in this picture. So I will type in my code, which as you can see I've already typed in previously, so I can just go to the drop down menu, put that in, MHI2 underscore ER underscore AU43X underscore P42404. Okay, that's my code. You may have a different set of digits there depending on the version in your car. Now we click on go and it brings up this list of information. So here it's telling us that the firmware details is that it's from the generation of M.I.B 2 high, so that's the level of hardware I have in the car. It's for Europe and the rest of the world. The brand is Audi, the model is Audi TT. I've got MMI Navigation Plus. It's a production version and the hardware is made by Harman. Now as we scroll down further, it's now telling us here that the latest firmware for this car is P5406. That is the last TTs that left the factory were running with P5406. Now that's not to say that that version of software has been made available to the public via this online community. Okay, but that's the very, very latest version that ever got produced. We will try and obtain the latest version that's obtainable. Now, in order to get to that latest version, we can click on this link here, and that will take us to another web page, which we will go to in a second. But before we go there, I'm just going to go through the rest of the information down here. So here in this next section 3, it's talking about GPS navigation maps, and it's telling us that there is a file for maps for Europe, dated 2025. Okay, it's a 14 gigabyte file. That's zipped, that is. There's also a rest of the world file, a Japanese file, Taiwan and North America. So you click on whichever one of those is relevant to you. Okay, so I'll be Europe, so I'm going to be clicking on there. As we go further down the page, there are links taking you to YouTube, offer tutorials of how to do this, but you're currently watching a tutorial, but it's up to you. You might want to go away and look at those as well. Then further down, there are packages of software for speed cameras and places of interest. Okay, so you can download those. Again, breaks it down into different regions of the world. And then further down, there are more instructional videos and more information regarding unlocking in-motion video, etc, etc, etc. Some more tutorials and information links down here. One thing that I would just bring to your attention, that these SD cards, you want them to be totally and utterly blank, so you need to format them, and you need to format them into FAT32 format. Okay, FAT32, completely blank, nothing else on them. Okay, now we've scrolled back up and we're back at the firmware section, and we're going to click on the link that takes us to where the latest version of firmware is. So let's scroll to there and click on that, and it takes us to the M.I.B solution page. So there's just a little disclaimer there. We're just going to click on that, say OK. Now you may or may not be asked to enter a ID and password here, and in both cases it is the word guest, G-U-E-S-T, so guest for user, guest for password. We're being presented here with, basically a file manager page, and we want to go to MQB Solutions. We click on that and it takes us to a list. Now this is actually a list of different hardwares that Audi and the VW group run in their cars. Now for Audi TT, we're looking for this one here, MHI2 Harman. Okay, so we click on that. It brings us another set of files, and we want to go to firmware. Click on firmware, and now it brings us up a list of brands. Now we're obviously dealing with an Audi, so we click on Audi, and now we have a huge long string or list of zipped files with all different firmware trains. Now, as mentioned before, we are firmware MHI2ER-AUG43, so we scroll through until we find that. So here we are. We have available to us MHI2ER-AU43X P5098 MU1339, and they've even bracketed it TT. So that's the latest version. We know it's the latest version because it's the highest value number there. It goes up, it increases as new software versions come along, they increase the number. So like the previous generation 4204, which is the version I have in the car, and then this is a new one because it's a higher number. Now what we'll do is you want to click on that and download that zipped file. With the file highlighted and a tick next to it, you would go up into the header there and click download and download it onto your PC. Okay, so that's the firmware downloaded. Now we need to obtain ourselves the most incredible bash software. So we're going to come back out of here. We're going to go back, back again, back, back, back. Okay, so we're at the highest level set of folders here now. And we now want to go to M.I.B, which is most incredible bash. So we click on that. Okay, so there are two things that we're going to be doing within this directory. We need to obtain the most incredible bash software from this link here, but we're also going to be downloading this zipped file called patches. Okay, but first things first, let's do the most incredible bash software. So we'll scroll down to that, we'll open that link. Okay, now this is gone to a GitHub page, and this is where the most incredible bash software is actually located. Now over on the right hand side here, it's telling us that the very latest release of most incredible bash is version v3.6.0. So we're going to click on that and then scroll down to where it's saying assets. So you've got two options. You can either download it as a zip file or download it as a tar.gz file. Now I downloaded it as a zip file. So again, you just click on that and download it. And that is our most incredible bash software downloaded. So you'll know your PC set up. When you do your downloads, it will send it to your download file. So we'll be going to there in just a moment. So we can come out of here now. And we now need to download this patches file. But what the patches file is actually the specific software instructions relevant to your car. Okay, so the most incredible bash software is basically the tool that enables you to side load on the specific software to your car. So we need the tool, we need the most incredible bash, and then we need the specific software. So again, just click on the patches file and download that. So you highlight it and then go up to the download symbol there. One thing I would say about this M.I.B solutions website is that the link to the server is a bit sketchy. So what I would suggest to you is if you go up to your download symbol up here and click on it, you'll get a history of what's happening with your downloads. Now, this top one here, this was my software train. This was the latest firmware update. You may find that it's either failed or it's hanging. You might need to resume it. So it can take several attempts to get a stable connection for the download. But perseverance pays prudent, and you will get there eventually. So yeah, just keep an eye on your download history there and deal with it as necessary. So you've now got the two most incredible bash software files downloaded to your PC. Next thing to do is to get the maps latest version. So we'll come out of here to the M.I.B helper page, which is for me still open on this tab up here. We go back to M.I.B helper. Okay, I've still got my software training there, and then I scroll down to the section that says maps, and I click on the link there for the download. Okay, you click on that and then you'll notice in your download history that the corresponding file will start downloading. You know, I've cancelled it because I'd already downloaded it once, but you'll see that that is all active there. So that will be downloading your latest version of maps. Now at this point I can show you how to clear error codes in Module 5F. Module 5F is the module that gets overwritten with all this new software that you're about to load onto your car. So you would clear them using OBD11 or VCDS if you have it. But if you scroll up to the very top of this page, you'll see that there are options here. And we want to click on I'm so sorry. Okay, we click on I'm so sorry, and it takes you to this. If you have gone into OBD11 and VCDS and you have looked at your module 5F, which is the module in your Audi TT that gets rewritten with your latest firmware, okay, your module 5F may have an error code. Now what you do is you type in the code here, press search, and it will produce the new replacement code that you key into your OBD11 or VCDS. That will unlock the code and enable you then to subsequently clear it off. Okay, that's entirely up to you whether you do that or not. So anyway, let's get back to these files. Okay, so here I am in my list of downloaded zipped files. So we have the patches file for the Most Incredible Bash, we have the firmware itself, we have the map zip file, and we have the Most Incredible Bash toolkit itself there. Once you unzip all of those, you are left with files like this. Okay, so they're the unzipped versions of those downloads. So starting with the firmware itself, we're going to click on that, and that opens up this string of folders and files. At the very bottom, there is a text document, Meta Info 2. As we go into that, okay, there's a whole string of codes that list exactly what this firmware is going to do, what it's going to update, what it's not going to update. Okay, we're not really interested in knowing the specifics of all this, but all that is to say is that file is very important and must be there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our new blank formatted to FAT32 SD cards like I have here, and we're going to put it in our computer. We are then going to copy the contents of that firmware download, okay, highlighting every one of those files. We're going to copy all of those and we're going to deposit them directly onto that SD card. So having copied all of those, the SD card should look exactly like this. These are directly onto the SD card. There's no higher file than any of these, okay? I haven't created a file on the SD card that says TT or file update or any of that nonsense. It's just these folders directly onto the SD card. Okay, so when you plug this SD card into your car, the car will read it and it will search for this text document, this Meta Info 2. Okay, so this Meta Info 2 is the instruction to your car. The car will then process each one of these files in turn. Very important that this is saved on your SD card at the highest level with no other folder file heading above it. Okay, so that's your first SD card prepared for your firmware. Now what I did is I made a little indication on the SD card by putting a single dot on it there, that is SD card number 1, and then I had a little crib sheet there saying number 1 equals firmware, and then on SD card 2 I also put 2 dots, that's for the M.I.B, Most Incredible Bash, and then on the third card 3 dots for my maps. Okay, so just a little referencing tool. So that is SD card 1 done. Let's get on with SD card 2. Okay, so now SD card 2 is going to be in relation to my Most Incredible Bash software. Now, if you open the Most Incredible Bash 3.60 folder, there's a subfolder, we open that, and we get a list of files. Now, in this list of files, if we scroll down to the last folder, which says patches, and we open that, okay, there's a folder that says adfec. This folder here, that won't be there when you look at your download, okay, because I've subsequently deposited that folder in there. We'll come to that in a second, but that won't be there. what you'll have two entries. You'll have adfec and you'll have copy patches here. Now that little file there saying copy patches here is why I subsequently copied that folder there. Okay, so you will have two entries, but you need three. Let me show you how to get that third folder. So we'll go back up to your downloads and we're going to go to the patches folder there. Okay, you're going to open that. Here is a list of patches pretty much for every Audi you can imagine. Now you could, should you wish to, just copy all of those patches and copy them onto that other folder that I just showed you. Or you can do what I did, which just seems to be the most sensible thing, is find the software train relevant to your vehicle. So we're looking for AU43, 5098 1139. Okay, so you can just copy that and then deposit it in the most incredible bash folder under patches there, like I have, and then you're good to go. Just another point of interest with regards to this adfec. So fec are the codes that enable different functionalities in your car, and it is literally adding fecs. So if we open it, you've got a list of vehicles. Okay, you also have a folder at the very bottom. If you open that, okay, it gives you a description of what each fec code is and the brand of vehicle and whether the car comes with it as standard or whether it's a paid optional extra, etc, etc. So you can see there Apple Carplay is fec code 000060800, and the next one down there ending 900 is in relation to Google Android Auto. You've got, what have we got there? Navigation 0004100. Then down here we've got the lifetime maps license, which we will be downloading. So for Audi, it's the 023000EE. Okay, now we are going to be adding those codes to our car. So back to our folder here of patches. Let's click on Audi, Europe. Okay, open this text folder, and as you can see, these are the fec codes that will be added into your car. Bottom one there on the list was the lifetime maps. You've got the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay there, and your other ones relating to navigation, etc. But everything you need will be added on. Right, so having added your relevant patch into your most incredible bash folder, we are going to copy all of that and deposit it onto a second SD card. So we're going to highlight it all, we're going to copy it, we're going to put our second new SD card into our laptop PC, and you can see there that I've already copied it on like for like from the other download file. And when we click in under patches, you can see that the patch for my Audi TT is in there. Okay, so that's the second SD card prepared. Once again, as I say, if we keep going up that tree for that SD card, if I just click on that SD card, all those files are sitting at the very highest level. And right there is a meta-info2 file, a text document, which if we open is the instruction to the car on what to do with all those files. Okay, so that's the second SD card prepared. So here we are back at our downloads, our unzipped files, and the one at the bottom there is our maps folder. If we open that, you see there are two folders and a text document, so that being the meta-info2 folder. we need to copy that directly like that straight onto the third SD card. So once again, highlight them, copy them, and then subsequently copy them to your SD card number 3. Again, ensuring that the files are deposited in the very highest level of the card, not under any higher level folder or file heading. So that is our 3 SD cards prepared. All we now need to do is go back to the car. Right, so we're back in the car. I've got my SD cards all prepared, as you saw earlier. Okay, so we're in the vehicle now. We've got to get on and install that stuff into the car. So if you don't know, your main unit is in the glove box here. There we are in there. So we got your SD card slots. So on the left hand side we've got SD1. Okay, that's where we're going to be putting our SD card. Okay, and also when you're doing these updates, you do not want the update to be interrupted in any way at all. So the suggestion is that you put a secondary power supply to your battery, but I'm going to be doing it by having the engine running. We want as few drains on the car's electrics as possible, so I shall be switching off the auto stop start. I will have the air conditioning off, I will have the fan off. I have set my lights to being off. Okay, I'll have the radio turned down. The key must stay in the car. Okay, so put it there, don't have it in your pocket, because for any reason if you get out of the vehicle and walk away, then the car will shut down if the key's not there. So you do not want to interrupt the software update at all. So I'm going to have the engine running. So obviously you need to make sure you got enough fuel and you're not going to run out of fuel, because I'm led to believe that one of these updates can take up to 40 minutes. Right, so then let's get on with it. I've got my first SD card, number 1. This is the firmware update, so I'm going to place it over there in the slot. Now I need to access the engineering menu, but first of all I'm going to start the car. Car is running. I am going to switch off auto stop start. Fan is off. Lights are off. Right, let's go into the red engineering menu. So once again, left button, right button. There we are into the engineering menu. Now remember, I've put the SD card in SD1 slot, and I'm going to want to do update. So it's on update. Let's press the button on the middle of the wheel there, and let's press that. And it's saying, where do you want to read from? So SD card 1. Okay, it's now reading the description on that card. In the header there you can see it's come up with my new software that I want to install. That's P5098. That's the newest version that we had available to us. And it's saying, do you want to do standard or user defined? I definitely just want to do standard. So I'm going to click on standard. It's given us a list of all the different aspects of the vehicle that it's going to update. AMP16, I believe that's the amp, so it's not going to do an update on that. Anything with an N it's not going to do. Anything with an S, it will do some aspects of it. And then with a Y it's a yes. So I'm just scrolling through. There we go. Right, so as far as I know that's all good. So we scroll the way down to start update. Let's start the update. And it's telling us that the update must not be cancelled under any circumstances. So we'll scroll to start update and do it. There we go. So we just let it get on with its stuff. So just to show you, it's gone through different stages. It's given us a readout of different aspects that it's updating. So at the moment it's doing that MX2 portion of the update. Here it's moved on to the DAB unit. Now it's moved on to this bit called RCC. Seems to be going through this much quicker than the DAB one. You see we're now up to update 3 of 8. Okay, we're what, 8 minutes into the update, and we have got 6 of 8, well 5 of 8 have definitely been completed. We're on the 6th one now. Yep, so it's just a question of being patient and waiting for it to do its thing. Okay, so we're at 14 minutes. Okay, so it's moved on to update 8 of 8. 7 are done. So it's just doing the final one. We're at the 16-minute mark here. So it's like it's just going through a check of all of the updates. Just running a final script. Okay, looks like we're being presented now with a list of all the updates it did. So we knew though it wasn't updating the amp. We said it was going to update the MX2. It says that's okay. Yeah, so we're hoping for OKs and dashes. So all good. So down at the bottom we've got resume. Let's do resume. We click on that. Do we want to run a compare? Now we're going to click on cancel version compare. That's fine. There will be an error code will be recorded in the car's computer memory. Okay, that error code basically says like a software update was done, but no subsequent compare between the two was finished off. That's no big deal. You can remove the error code using OBD11 or VCDS, but it's not essential to do so. So I'm going to click cancel version compare. And we're going to a system update. There we go. Nav is still all working. That's all good. Okay, let's come out of there. Telephone, radio, fuel economy, main menu, car sound, media, all good. Right, so now we just need to get on with the other updates. Right, okay, now I've switched over to my second SD card. This is the SD card that has got the more incredible bash software on it. So this will side load on the FEC codes, the activation keys for Apple Carplay, Android Auto, and for lifetime maps update. So let's install that in SD1 like so. Let's start the car again, and let's go into the red engineering menu. Okay, and we want to do an update on SD card 1, and it's reading the script on that card, and as you can see it's saying do you want to, it's the M.I.B launcher version 1.2, so we'll say yes to standard. Okay, so it's not going to be updating any of those things there that the firmware updated, but what it will be doing is changing this, the launcher. See, we've got a Y against the launcher, but not applicable to anything else. Okay, so once again we're going to engage the or rather turn off the auto stop start. Fans are off, everything's good. Let's do start update. And here we go, so time's 11:16. Right, this one's going through much quicker. We had a couple of little things flash up saying it was updating stuff. It was so quick I didn't get time to turn the camera on, but this looks like it's happening much quicker. I don't think it's anywhere near as a bigger software package. So looks like it's just going through checking that all of the devices that it expects to be there are there. Going through the final script. Right, that was quick. So we're at 11:20. Okay, now it's given us a list of all of the things it's done. So we knew it weren't doing any of those packages, modules. Launcher, yes, it's done. Okay to that. So we'll scroll all the way to the bottom to resume. Press resume. Again, we get this thing about, do you want to run a compare version? No, thank you. So cancel version compare, and it's going to do a reboot. Okay, right, so it's come out of there. It's gone back into the normal menu of the car. As you can see, everything is still there. Right, okay, so we have loaded that second SD card onto the car. That's the software for the Most Incredible Bash Toolkit. Now that's in the car, the SD card is still in the MIH2 unit in the glove box there. We need to go into the green engineering menu. Now to get into there, we are using the top left and top right buttons again, but we're pushing them both forwards this time. So as with before, you press the left one ever so slightly first and then that one, so we go forward, forward. And wait. And there we are, we're into the green menu. So let's see if I can reduce the display down a bit. There we go. So we've got this green engineering menu. This is saying you've got your production green engineering menu, or you've got the M.I.B, Most Incredible Bash Software, which is the one we want. So we're going to scroll down to that and select. And we get this message come up. Now this is the message from the developers of the Most Incredible Bash Software. And it's basically saying this is free to use software, not for commercial use. If you've bought it, you've been ripped off. So this is a suggestion that if you used any of the online services and paid money, they've been a bit naughty, but there you go. So anyway, there's a big disclaimer there. Do not interrupt this process, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we scroll down. And there's a whole host of stuff that you can do, but we don't want to get involved with. What we want to do is patch the unit with defect codes that will enable Apple Carplay and Android Auto, along with the right to do lifelong maps updates. We are going to do patch unit, so we're going to select that. And it's just telling us to always use the latest version of the M.I.B, which we have. Okay, so we've scrolled to patch now, so let's do that. And we just wait for it to do its thing. Okay, so it's been a few minutes, we're just letting it do its thing. The list of information grows as you scroll through, and we just wait for it to do its thing. Okay, so at 11:38 we've gone to this. It's got big success in green. I guess that's saying the reboot will happen shortly. So again, we'll just wait. Yeah, this has probably been the most disconcerting process because you just got to let it do its thing. There we go, the MI is switched off and cannot currently be used. Okay, so it's just rebooting. If we go to menu, we now have Audi smartphone interface showing. So what I need to do is plug the phone in to the car with a cable. Okay, before I do that, I'm going to go to the unit over here and I'm going to take out that SD card that's got the Most Incredible Bash software on it. That can come out. Okay, that doesn't need to stay in the car. Right, okay, so let's see if Android Auto is working. I have put a USB cable into the plug there. I've gone into USB 1. I have now got another Android phone here, and I am going to plug that in on screen. So we've got this going on. Let's have a look. What does this now say? Welcome to Android Auto. Okay, yeah, and you just go through the process like so. I'm not going to go any further with that because this is an old phone that I've just dug out of a drawer. The phone I actually use is the one that I'm filming on, but you can see that it's all good and it's all working. The next thing for me to do is to take disk SD card number 3 and update the maps. Okay, now we're going to do the maps update. So on this SD card I've got the 2425 maps. So again, let's put that in the MIH2 unit. Let's switch the car on. Let's turn off the... Now we don't have to go into any red hidden menu for this. We can do this from the car's normal functionality. So what we do is we scroll down to settings and we go left key here for MMI settings, go to system maintenance and we go to system update, and we're going to read from SD1, searching for data. There we go, so it's saying it's found navigation database version 25 and we want to start that update. The update is being performed in the background. You can still use the navigation system and MMI. Just don't remove the SD card. So yeah, we'll just let that get on with it. It's quite a big file, it might take a while, but we get a bar there telling us that progress will be made. So time is currently 12:15, and there we go at 12:52. The maps has been updated. That was the longest update overall because it's an extremely big file, but that's all good. We have now got version 2025 all in there, so we're okay to that. Okay, I can take the SD card out of there. Well, there you go. There is my Audi 2018 TT, all updated with the latest firmware, Android Auto CarPlay and the 2025 maps. Okay, it does take a bit of time, so you can't do this in a hurry, but it is all doable and it's all available for free online. Just take your time and be patient. There you go. Well, thanks for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out some of my other videos and I shall see you again very soon. Cheers. Goodbye.